We've all been here before. It's the day of and you got to get a turkey done. You didn't do anything to prep it. Well, guess what? That doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to put together an incredible turkey. Even when you're pressed on time, even when you didn't get to take those preliminary steps that you would have loved to take, you can still turn this into a delicious turkey. So today, I'm going to show you how to come up with the best day of results with your turkey. We've got a 16-pound butterball. Just got it out of the bag, and I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it. So come on in here, let's get started. Now look, we've all been here before. Didn't get a chance to brine it. It didn't thaw out in time. You forgot to take it out. It doesn't matter. You know what they say about excuses. But look, it's time to get this turkey done. So I'm gonna do this in the simplest form possible. That's with a homemade rub, that's with a homemade injection, and that is with a spatchcock turkey. Now let's get started with those first steps. Now this is about 16-pound butterball turkey. Bought this from the store. They're running good deals on them right now because it is Thanksgiving time. We're going to spatchcock this turkey. It's gonna give us a faster cook, so it's gonna be less prep time, less cook time, and it's gonna yield some incredible results. So the first thing that you need to do is take a sharp knife and cut basically around the back or around the spine. If you've got yourself a good pair of poultry scissors, if you don't, I'll throw a link in the description. If you use a chef's knife, something a little sturdier and heavier than this, you can chop right through it, but poultry shears work best. I'm gonna go through and continue to cut out this spine. Now this is a pretty caveman-like cut. But just like that, we've got the spine removed. And the next step is take a sharp knife and you want to whack it right here in the breastbone. That allows you to fold open or break that breastbone, just like this, watch. Now that you got the breastbone split, the spine cut out, now you'll be able to flip this over and it's gonna lay in that perfect spatchcock presentation. It's gonna look something like this. Now it's almost time to season it, but we gotta take one more step. This thing is super wet from that brine. It's super moist because we didn't get a chance to do a dry brine like we normally would have. No problem, let's clean it up. Now because this thing is super saturated, get yourself some paper towel. It helps to really dry it up. Dry up your surface, dry up the skin. Take as much of that moisture off as you possibly can. Today, we're gonna be using my homemade rub. I'm gonna put a recipe down in the description. The reality is this is all stuff that you likely already have in your kitchen. That is why we're doing it on this last minute turkey prep. We're gonna be using this for our rub today. Now I'm gonna give a nice little generous coat around the back. This is basically salt, pepper, garlic based, but I do have some additional ingredients in there to help increase the flavor profile. If you want, you could take the backside of your glove real quick and just pat it on. That'll just help that stick. But because this meat is pretty moist from being in that brine and basically just coming out of that bag, this rub's gonna stick just fine. Flip it over. We're gonna do the same thing over here. Now, a lot of times I would use like a spray olive oil or spray avocado oil on the skin, which would help crisp it up. But the reality is it's still pretty saturated, even though we've dried it off. There's really no need for that oil. It's just gonna make it too wet. Now we're gonna be handling this one more time because we gotta get it onto the smoker, so there's no sense in going too crazy right now. We can always touch it up once we get it on the smoker. Now, if you're not injecting your turkeys, you're making a mistake. And listen, everything that I've got in this injection is also things that you're likely gonna find in your kitchen and you can reproduce day of. So get out your turkey injector, let's get this bird injected. Now this is a butter-based injection. I made this with butter, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and a couple other things to go along with it. Melted that down. I got it nice and softened in here. I've got my injector with the largest nozzle. And what we're gonna do is we're going to inject into the breasts. And we're gonna wanna put a full syringe into both breasts. Now, as you inject, be sure to pull out and pump into different directions. Just don't punch through the cavity of the bird itself because it's all gonna leak out basically underneath. Now it's gonna leak a little bit here, so I like to just pull it out slow, and that's okay. We'll get another full injector into this breast. I like to do a half a syringe in the thigh, a half a syringe in the leg. So back here, I'm gonna do the same, poke that in there, pump about a half into this thigh, and then we'll pump about a half into this leg. This injection is just gonna add more moisture and more flavor. And I'll tell you what, I've never had anyone complain about the flavor on my turkeys. And even by doing this last minute with the least amount of prep possible, you're still going to put together an incredible turkey. And just like that, we've got our turkey prepped. Now, mind you, like I said, we're gonna touch up the places where we've touched or anywhere that the rub has been wiped off or run off because of the injection. Today, we're gonna be using the Traeger Ironwood XL, running at 275 degrees. I'm gonna meet you over at the smoker. We'll get this thing on. It is time to get this turkey onto the Traeger Ironwood XL. Open this thing up. When it comes to cooking turkeys, it's important to think about the direction that you lay this because you'll find that one side will cook faster than the other. So I like to try and make it as even as possible. So you'll see that I'm tucking the wings back behind the breast. Just fold those in, and you'll see that the heat source is gonna be over here. Essentially, we want the breast in an even situation. That's what we've got here. I've got two probes here that came with the Traeger. What I'm going to do is probe both breasts on this turkey. One last little step here, that's gonna be to touch up the seasoning that we brushed off. We know that we did. Then we're gonna get the lid closed. Spatchcocked and at 275 degrees on the Traeger Ironwood XL, you should see about 5 pounds an hour when it comes to progress. Now, it depends. How cold is your turkey? You know, with filming, things are a little slow getting started, so they come up to temperature a little bit. In general, you should see about 5 pounds per hour. So this one here should be just over 3 hours in order to get it. The reality is, this is basically all that we've got to do. And then we've got one final step to help produce an awesome day of turkey. I will see you in a little bit. Let's take a look at this spatchcock turkey. It is looking good. We're reading 145 degrees in the breast. I'm gonna get this closed and come over here and set the temperature to 325 degrees. We're gonna do that until we reach 165. If the skin is a little dry and you wanna aid in crisping it up, use some spray olive oil or avocado oil and just give a quick little spritz. Now that we've got that temperature jacked up, we're gonna see a better finish on that skin. We've reached 167 in both breasts. Coincidentally, they cooked very evenly. It is time to pull this turkey off. As you can tell, it looks great. We'll get a better look at the actual table here. But I'm gonna get my cutting board here. I'm gonna use a pair of tongs to carefully pull these probes out. Now remind you, this is a day of, oops, I forgot to prep the turkey. Because we've all been there. We all know what it's like to be at crunch time and just not having the time or the resources to get it done. But I tell you what, that looks good. We're gonna find out how good it actually is. I'm gonna let it rest for about 15 minutes and I will see you over at the prep table. This oops, I forgot to prep the turkey video is just about to come to a close. And I'll tell you what, that is a beautiful looking bird. It took about 3 hours and 25 minutes or so overall. Mind you, the internal temperatures aside, this was about 16 pounds, give or take. So that's about on course for about that 5 pound per hour mark that I referenced earlier in the video. We smoked it at 275 degrees. When it hit about 145, we bumped that sucker up to 325 and cooked it the rest of the way through until it was reading 167 in the breast. It's time to give it a try. Now, we all know dark meat's delicious. Dark meat's always good, always good. So I judge my turkeys, I judge my chicken or any poultry that I do based off of how good and how juicy that breast is. So that's exactly what we're gonna do today. Take this quarter off and get that out of the way. Might as well do the same with this one. Boy, do those look good. Let me get down into that breast. Tell you what, the finish on this turkey is great. I hope you can see that. Very juicy, very moist, feels nice and tender. It's hot, so I'm gonna slice into this and let it cool for just a moment before we give it a try. Now, one thing to note, and the purpose behind this video, is that we've all been in a crunch for time. We've all had last minute things pop up that ruin our day, but that doesn't mean it has to ruin your food. That's why today with this, oops, I forgot to prep the turkey video, that was the goal here, to show you that you don't have to brine your turkey. You don't have to do any of that. Does it help make a very delicious turkey? Absolutely. It makes an incredible turkey, but it isn't necessary. So what I wanted to do was show you how good of a turkey I could make with the least amount of prep, but still try to make a great bird. So that was no brine, that was spatchcock because it cooks faster and eat more evenly, injected with stuff that I keep in the house. You don't have to go buy some injection as long as you have the seasonings and the butter, and hell, improvise if you have to. And we got it on the smoker. It was simple enough. We didn't baste it. We didn't do anything like that. Did spray that olive oil a little later in the cook when the skin was looking a little dry, and that helped crisp it up. I'll tell you what, it looks phenomenal. All of that talking and not enough tasting. This is my limited prep smoked spatchcock turkey. Let's find out how good we did. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Every turkey video that I've ever done on this channel, I've brined a turkey. Every single time, dry brine, wet brine, days. I've spent so much time perfecting those. The reality is, this thing is delicious. I don't know if it's necessary. I do think it adds a slight dynamic and extra depth of flavor by brining, but the effort versus the results, like the payoff, it's not that much of a difference. So if you're pressed on time, don't have the things to brine, you forgot, plans change, and now you're cooking a turkey day of with no time to prep, dude and dudettes, this is phenomenal. For the amount of effort or lack thereof that we put in, this is a delicious turkey. And if you liked this video and you liked this recipe and the approach, let me know in the comments. Hit that like button, tell YouTube how much you liked it. But overall, I've got a ton of stuff on this channel between turkeys, between backyard barbecue, between grill reviews, and this is just one of several hundred videos. My suggestion would be you subscribe, and I'd check out this video next.